Right, good afternoon everyone. It's Graham Healy from the Healy Report. Just an update regarding the election. A lot of people have contacted me, and I'll just double check my diary here. Yeah, next weekend's the election, isn't it? Next Saturday. A lot of people have contacted me, and honestly, it's almost embarrassing that they don't really know how the political system works after all these years. But I'll just make it simple on this quick broadcast. Number one, vote for Gerard Rennick. Now, I'll tell you why in a second. Senator Gerard Rennick, people first. Number one, this is in the Senate in Queensland. Number two, Dr.William, who is now an independent. Now, those freedom people out there who suddenly got critical of Dr. Bay because he's now become an independent, I suggest you go on the internet and have a careful forensic look at the other party he's separated himself from. There's not a real good track record out there in cyberspace. So that's it behind us. So we'll just repeat again. Number one, vote next Saturday, or whenever you go to the pre-polling or whatever, Gerard Rennick, people first party. He's got the solutions for the financial recovery and rebuilding of Australia. Okay? Number two, if you want the doctor relationship, the patient-doctor relationship restored with someone who's got the intelligence to do it, then freedom people, vote for Dr. William Bay, now an independent. And all you've got to do is have a quick look on the internet and see why he's an independent now, rather than associated with the other group. So, I'll just explain something about Senator Gerard Rennick. What his plan is this, is that if he gets back into the Senate, which I'm 100% certain he will build a very strong crossbench that can bring whatever government's in to account and to filter their policies into the system that way. Now, I sort of believe that this particular election will be a hung parliament. Now, I'm not alone in that opinion, but Dutton really hasn't got the strength to deliver a mandate at all. So it's going to be touch and go on the 3rd of May. And also, remember, Dutton's group has still got a lot of wokes in that group, and unfortunately Dutton still believes in the climate accords, the Paris Accords, and that. What that means is that, you know, all these windmills and you know, the solar battery thing, that is especially the windmills, which are destroying the wildlife and destroying the forest and bushland of Australia big time. All of that is not making money, nor is it making any significant power to the grid. It is just being what they call supported by, or funded by, or subsidised by the Australian taxpayer. The billions of dollars that these things cost, you're paying for them, and they're not profitable, and they never will be. So Dutton's agreeing with that. No, that's okay. So just think about that. Then the other subject, which a lot of Christians, as you know, a lot of Christians sort of quote to me various things. Well, I just say to them is, okay, have a look which party is pro-abortion, which party won't talk about abortion, which party just remains silent when you bring the subject up. And unfortunately, it's the Liberals. Well, you know, we know Labor's pro-abortion, we know Greens are pro-abortion, but the Liberals remain silent. Like the state premier, who's in the Liberal Party, we can't debate that in Parliament in his term. It's too controversial, the murdering of children. So you just got to think about it very, very, you know, it doesn't take much intelligence to think about it. So when you're voting next Sunday, just ask this simple question. What's the principles that this particular party and or politician is going to implement if he gets into power? is there going to be any significant change in Australia to the better? The existing two-party system, the Liberal National Coalition, Labor and Greens, you got the same old story. It'll just be like Groundhog Day. If you want Groundhog Day, or you want a little bit, 25 cents a litre fuel, oh God's sake, if you can sell your soul for 25 cents a litre at the fuel bowser, you really need to be reprogrammed. In Australia, we really need a major transformational change, and we need the dismantling of the globalism or the globalistic agenda that's been going on since Gough Whitlam got in, and both sides of the major parties have implemented this. The major parties have implemented the climate accords, the international trade agreements, which are really what you call transnational corporation agreements, all of them designed to destroy manufacturing in this country, to throw us into debt, which we're, the government debt's over 1 trillion now, but the total debt in Australia is about 10 trillion when you add everything up. Have a look at AustralianDebtClock.com. So the solution is this. You have to get a politician into power to reconstruct the financial future of Australia. Only one guy knows what he's doing, in my opinion. That's Senator Gerard Rennick. A lot of the others promise stuff, but it's just general. Oh, we're going to, take stuff off excise on drinking or something at pubs. I mean, that's just, it might sound good, but the reality is there isn't much substance behind any of that. And if you're not in some sort of crossbench power, you can't implement it. It's just talk. So I'll just finish off on this. Number one, Gerard Rennick. By the way, Gerard Rennick doesn't believe in abortion. So that's a fact. I know him personally. And so, if the Christians out there, you better check these politicians before you vote for them. And the parties you're voting for, you better check to see whether they believe in Christianity, or they've got Judeo-Christian principles at least. And the big subject of abortion, you ask them that. That'll sort them out real quick, and you'll find out who or who not to vote for. So what am I seeing? I'm seeing Gerard Rennick get into the Senate, then he'll form quite a substantial party, being the People First, which will, I believe, become the third force in Australia. And I can see it'll be a hung parliament on the 3rd of May. It's almost like a non-event. I'm not really excited about it at all. And probably about 6 months' time, probably October, November this year, I can see a double dissolution, and then definitely a referendum based on freedom of speech in the Constitution and what have you. So that's what I'm seeing. So the interim step, or phase 1 as I call it, is, I'll just repeat it again, vote 1 for Gerard Rennick and People First, and he's got a great team behind him, by the way. I've spoken to a lot of the candidates for People First. They're top quality people, ex-servicemen, lawyers, doctors, just ordinary people who have had a gutful of what's going on in Australia. And to coin Donald Trump's phrase, if you want to make Australia great again, you get different people into power. If you want more of the same, or you want to go round and round the mulberry bush like a teddy bear, you vote in the Liberals again. They stuffed it up last time. Labor always does a worse job, but Liberals are not doing any better. Remember the COVID thing, everyone? Remember who was in charge there? Old Scotty Morrison? And my Christian fraternity, oh yeah, Scotty Morrison's a Christian, oh yeah. Well, he was the guy who was funding all the states with the mRNA injections. And back in Canberra, you're saying, well, everyone can make a choice. It's your choice. What goes into your body, said Scotty Morrison. Unfortunately, he was the one funding the mRNA injections to all the rest of the states, which were controlled by Labor, which turned into dictatorial states with a huge overreach, but he facilitated it behind the scenes. Praise the Lord, eh? So, let me say this. I don't care who calls themselves what or what they say they believe in. What I do is watch the actions. I see what they do over time, and by their fruit you will know them. End of story. So there's only two people, I'll just repeat it again. The number one, vote number one for Gerard Rennick, people first. If you want transformational change in the country, you want someone who's got the intelligence and has the plan written on his website. Go to People First website and actually read it. Read the financial policies for transformational challenge, not transformational challenge, but for transformation of the Australian economy. Read it. He's simplified it. Even I can understand it. How's that? And then if you want change regarding the medical system or the doctor-patient relationship, there's only one person who stands out. It's my good old friend, Dr.William. He's got the guts to stand up and say what he says as the truth. He stands for the truth. He doesn't muck around. His integrity is never, ever compromised, and he's the man. So he's the wild card at the moment, as I say. To get him in, we need all the freedom people voting for Dr. Bay. And then, as I've said in other videos, then when you've got numbers 2, 3, 4, 5 and 6 above the line in the Senate for Queensland, just vote whoever you like in the freedom movement and leave national, the LNP, Labor and Greens, leave them off the sheet altogether, unless you want more of the same. You want more of the same? Go back to Groundhog Day. If you want Australia to develop and change into a prosperous country, put someone else in charge who's got the blueprint for the financial recovery of Australia, and certainly that'd be Gerard Rennick. And again, I'll finish off on this. You can correct me if I'm wrong after the election, and then what happens after the election. But just remember this broadcast. One, it'll be hung parliament. That means, for those who don't understand it, that if Dutton gets in, he'll be in by the skin of his teeth. If Albo gets in, Albo will be in by the skin of his teeth. So they won't have a mandate. They won't have a mandate in the Senate, and they may have a mandate in the lower house, but the Senate's the key. So that is why we're pushing to get Gerard Rennick back into the Senate and the other freedom senators. But Gerard stands head and shoulders above the rest in our opinion, or my opinion. And then the wild card to rattle the cage in there is Dr. William Bay and all the freedom people out there. We saw all the marches, all the demonstrations, and I was there with a megaphone as well. And, I went to Tricky's marches and all this. All you people out there, get behind Dr. William Bay. And, put your vote behind someone who stood up from day one against all the tyranny, the mandates and everything else. No one else did that. There are a couple of senators that did that. But unfortunately, I can't say anything on this video here, but I do know, being a former lead Senate candidate for Queensland 2019, I know a bit of the internal workings behind these various parties and who's done what to whom. So I've got to be very careful who I promote as a person of absolute integrity and isn't controlled by any third party behind the scenes. And I can guarantee you that Senator Rennick will not, under any circumstance, be controlled by anyone apart from the vote of the people, and same with Dr. William Bay. That's Graham Healy, RiseUpAustralia.Brisbane.com. The Healy Report, the political advocacy, and the former lead Senate candidate for Rise Up Australia 2019 election. I got 25,000 votes. My preferences got Senator Rennick into power. He tells me. I didn't know that, but there you go. So that's where I fit into the picture. My preferences got Senator Rennick into power in the 2019 election. Thank God for that. He was probably one of the greatest senators who stood up against the mandates, protected people who were injured by the mRNA injections and all that bad scene. That has to come into the courts, as it is happening in the US now, has to come into the courts in Australia as well. And you need the people who stood up over the last 5 years to be especially in the Senate. Okay, I hope I've driven the point home enough. That's Graham Healy over and out. Have a great day and God bless you.